I would like to start by giving praise to Yahweh, Baal Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Shalawam. I want to start off with Corinthians 1, verse 6 through 13. I wrote to you in a letter not to associate with the immoral, not meaning, of course, the immoral of this world, or the covetous, or the greedy, or idolaters. Otherwise, you will have to leave this world. It means you associate with them, the Most High gonna get you. But now I write to you not to associate with one who is called a brother if he is immoral, or covetous, or an idolater, or evil-tongued, or a drunkard, or greedy, with such a one not even to take food. For what I to do with judging those outside? It is not those inside whom you judge. For those outside, Yahweh will judge. Expel the wicked man from your midst. That means don't associate with them. You can't be around them. To continue on. Dare any of you having a matter against another, bring your case to be judged before the unjust and not before the saints. Do you not know that the saints will judge the world? And if the world will be judged by you, are you unworthy to judge the smallest matters? Do you not know that we shall judge angels? How much more worldly things? If therefore you have cases about worldly matters to be judged, appoint those who are rated as nothing in the church to judge. To shame you I say it. Can it be there is not one wise man among you competent to settle a case in his brother's matter? But brother goes to law with brother, and therefore unbelievers. Corinthians 7 through 11. Nay, to begin with, it is altogether a defect in you that you have lawsuits with one another. Why not rather suffer wrong, but rather defraud, and that you are your brethren? Or do you not know that the unjust will not possess the kingdom of Yahweh? So if you're unjust, you won't possess that kingdom when it's time, when he comes back. Do not err, neither fornicators, nor idolizers, nor adulterers, nor the effeminate, nor sodomites, nor thieves, nor the covetous, nor drunkards, nor the evil-tongued, nor the greedy will possess the kingdom of Yahweh. And such were some of you, but you have been washed, you have been sanctified, you have been justified in the name of our Lord Yahweh Shah, and in the spirit of Yahweh. Now this is to advice to the unmarried. I'll touch on that, Corinthians 8 through 11. But I say to the unmarried and to widows, it is good for them if they so remain even as is. So it's okay for you if you're unmarried. It's good for you to remain as is. But if you do not have self-control, but if they do not have self-control, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. But to those who are married, not I, but the Lord commands that a wife is not to depart from her husband, and if she departs, that she is to remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not a husband put away his wife. So basically, if you're married and you separate, it's best for the woman to stay unmarried, unless the husband, the ex-husband is deceased. I'll touch on that in a second. This is the obligation of believing the spouse. To others I say, not to the Lord, if any brother has an unbelieving wife, and she consents to live with him, let him not put her away. And if any woman has an unbelieving husband, and he consists to live with her, let her not put away her husband. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the believing wife, and the unbelieving wife is sanctified by the believing husband. Otherwise your children will be unclean, but as it is, they are holy. So that means, see, that was my case before I started stepping into the scriptures. My wife was a heavy believer, and I believed, but I was still kind of stuck to living of this world. So she was the believer, and I was the unbeliever. But she still can't, put me away, if that makes sense to you. So I'm going to continue on. But if the unbeliever departs, let him depart. So if I would have departed from her, when I was a non-believer, she has to let me depart. For a brother or sister is not under bondage in such cases, but Yahweh has called us to peace. For how dost thou know, O wife, whether you wilt save thy husband, or how do thou know, O husband, whether thou wilt save thy wife? Okay, this is no change to be sought, still in Corinthians. Only as the Lord has allotted to each, as when Yahweh has called each, so let him walk. And so I teach in the churches. Was one called having been circumcised? Let him not become uncircumcised. Was one called being uncircumcised? Let him not be circumcised. Circumcision does not matter, and uncircumcision does not matter. But the keeping of the commandments of Yahweh is what matters. Let every man remain in the calling in which he was called. So whatever your calling was from the Most High, make sure you remain in that calling. Where we at? Okay, wast thou a slave when called? Let it not trouble thee. But if thou canst become free, make use of it rather, for a slave who has been called in the Lord is a freed man in the Lord. Just as a free man who has been called is a slave of Yahweh. You have been bought with a price. Do not become the slaves of men, brethren, in state which he was called. Let every man remain with Yahweh. Okay, let me see. I'm going to also touch on about being a virgin. Here we go. Corinthians 25 through 30. Now concerning virgins, I have no commandment of the Lord. Yet I give an opinion as one having obtained mercy from the Lord to be trustworthy. I think then that this is good on account of the present distress, and that it is good for a man to remain as he is. So if you're a virgin, it's okay to remain a virgin. Art thou bound to a wife? So if you're bound to a wife, do not seek to be free. So once you bound to your wife, do not seek to be free. You stay with your wife. Y'all got to rock it out. Art thou free from a wife? Do not seek a wife. So if you and your wife separate, it's best for you not to seek a wife. But if thou takest a wife, thou hast not sinned. And if a virgin marries, she has not sinned. Yet she will have tribulations of the flesh, but I spare you that. But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remains that those who have wives be as if they had none, and those who weep as though not weeping, and those who rejoice as though not rejoicing, and those who buy as those not possessing, and those who use this world as though not using it. For the world as we see it is a passing away. So this world is done. This world ain't for us. We got a kingdom that we're going to. I have you free from care. I have you free from care. He who is unmarried is concerned about the things of the Lord, how he may please Yahweh. Whereas he who is married is concerned about the things of the world, and how he may please his wife, and he is divided. And the unmarried woman and the virgin thinks about the things of the Lord, that she may be holy in body and spirit, whereas she who is married thinks about the things of the world, so she may please her husband. Now this I say for your benefit, not to hold you in check, but to promote what is proper, and to make it possible for you to pray to the Lord without distraction. So basically, a woman, a husband, and a wife, they're going to distract each other. You know, if I may be reading the scriptures, then my wife may, like, hey, come watch this movie, while I'm reading the scriptures, or vice versa. I could be like, hey, come play this game with me, while she's trying to learn the word. And it distracts you, it divides you between your wife and the Lord, your husband and the Lord. And okay, moving on. Our duties out here as men to our virgin daughters. But if any man thinks that he incurs disgrace with regard to his virgin, since she is over age, and that it sought so to be done, let him do what he will. He does not sin if she should marry. So that means the sin doesn't fall on the father if she gets married. But if she doesn't marry and you hand her off, then the sin falls on you. But he who stands firm in his heart, being under no constraint, but is free to carry out his own will, and has decided to keep his virgin, he does well. Therefore, both he who gives this virgin in marriage does well, and he who does not give her does better. As for widows, okay, this one right here. A woman is bound as long as her husband is alive, but if her husband dies, she is free. Let her marry who she pleases. Only let it be in the Lord. So, as I touched before, when I said I would touch this is Corinthians 39:40. I'll read it again. A woman is bound as long as her husband is alive, but if her husband dies, she is free. Let her marry whom she pleases. Only let it be in the Lord. But she will be more blessed in my judgment if she remains as she is. And I think that I also have the spirit of Yahweh. So, as I was saying, if I was to pass away, my wife, she can remarry. She will still be more blessed in his judgment if she remains as is, though. If she just remains as a widow and doesn't remarry, then she'll be blessed even more. Now, the general principles involving idol offerings, which is in Corinthians 8:1-6. Now, concerning things sacrificed to idols, we know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffs up, but charity edifies. If anyone think that he knows anything, he has not yet known as the ought to know. But if anyone loves Yahweh, the same is known by him. Now, as for food sacrificed to idols, we know that there is no such thing as an idol in the world, and that there is no Yahweh but one. For even if there are called gods, whether in heaven or on earth, for indeed there are many gods and many lords, yet for us there is only one, which is Yahweh, the Father, from whom all things we unto him, and one Yahweh Shah, the Lord, thou whom are all things through him. Okay, now the rules with this. But such knowledge is not in everyone. Some still idol conscious, eat idol offerings, such as their conscience. Being weak is defiled. Now food does not commend us to Yahweh, for neither shall we suffer any loss if we do not eat, nor if we do eat, shall we have any advantage. My bad, done jumped. Okay, continue off where I was at. Okay, where were we at? Hold on, I think I lost my page. Okay, but such knowledge is not in everyone. Some still